Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of MYOG. And today, I'm going to show you how I made a Pac-Flat reflector for my UCO candle lantern. Now, I have purchased and I use Pac-Flat reflector from UCO. I've used theirs and I own it. It's right here. And I reviewed it on this channel. But, you know, I want to have one for each of my other candle lanterns, and I have 4 of the one style, and I wanted one for each one, but I don't want to buy any more. So I started thinking, how can I make one, you know, for my own use? And I think I've come up with it. I've built it, I've tested it, and I'm happy with it. So I'm going to share with you the fruits of my labor. Tools you're going to need to do this MYOG. You are going to need scissors, a ruler, a drafting compass, pens, pencils, all that good stuff, a utility knife or an X-Acto blade, a fine tip Sharpie, sandpaper, gloves, cutting mat. Materials. You're going to need thin cardboard like from a cereal box or similar to make a template, 2 aluminum cans, and an aluminum foil tape that is used in HVAC. You can get that at hardware stores and even Walmart. Alright, let's get started. First things first, we have to make a template. Now, if you already own the reflector, you're partway there. But let me show you what I've changed up. So, here is the diagram I have come up with. And basically, it's the same size and shape as the UCO reflector, but it's 1/4 inch deeper. So it's 3 1/4 inches instead of 3 inches per piece. That's one of the big changes. The other big change is how it fastens. On one side here, we have a small cutout. On the other side here, we have a tab. So when you have the opposing piece, tab goes in the cut, this tab goes in the cut, and it holds itself together. So, make sure you get a good look at all that. Alright, so once you have this and you're ready to copy it, if you don't have the reflector, if you do have the reflector, you can throw it down, trace it out, and just add 1/4 inch here. Make your template, and here is my cardboard template. So with that out of the way, let's talk about our cans. Now you can take a pair of scissors and you can cut this can. What you want to do is you want to cut as close here and here at the shoulders as possible. This gives you the maximum amount of flat can for use. Now you can use something like a razor blade mounted to a piece of wood like this and go around here, do it that way, or you can just cut into it with the scissors. Either way, get it done. Once that's done, I end up with a piece very much like this. Cut it in half. Now you end up with this piece that you have to flatten. Easiest way I've found to flatten these is to take it like this and run it back and forth over the edge of the table, and you'll be able to flatten this out. Once you have your flat pieces, then you're going to take your template and your fine tip Sharpie, and you're going to go ahead and trace these out. Just like that. Notice how one side has the tab to the hole hole to the tab. In other words, like this, and then like this. Then we're going to cut these out. Another thing to take into consideration when you're doing this layout, if you want it to look artistic, is see how I've got the labels, where I've got the Arizona, this part of the label kind of centered. So when I do these, I should have that artwork on the outside of the shade. Not necessary, but I thought it'd be a nice touch. Cutting these out is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. To get this cut out right here for the handle, this is what I've been doing. I'll come in here on one side of it like that. I'll come in on the other side just like that. Need to go a little bit deeper on the other side. There we go. Then I'll come in here. Now you can wear gloves while doing this. Me, I'm not too worried. If I cut myself, I cut myself. Not a big deal for me, but your opinion may vary. And slip that off. There is our slit. Now, before I cut out the rest of this, I want to cut these pieces. And I'm just going to go on one side of this. Like that, and on the other side of it. Like that. And it looks like I went all the way through. Okay. Now what I want to do so I want to get the blade in here like this. Cut that free. Bend that over. Like that. Come in here again. And cut that off. So there's our hole. Now let's cut the tab. Okay, got that. There we go. There's our tab. Now, just take your scissors and continue to cut this out. So once you have this all cut out, your tab and your slot hole cut and all that, now comes the sandpaper. You want to go all around these edges and dull it so it doesn't slice you. Okay? But one of the big things is this right here. We want to make sure, you see how it's not fitting, it's too tight. It's deforming. We want to widen that. And I found the easiest way of doing that is with the sandpaper. As I just keep working that, I push it one way, push it the other way, and I'll just incrementally keep making that bigger until, oh, look at that. It fits in there now. I got a little bit of a tab right there. And I'm just going to use my fingernails and get rid of that. Alright, so there we go. That fits without binding now. That's exactly what you want. Now, just dull up all these sharp surfaces, round all the corners. You don't want to be stabbed or cut. Once you have all the sanding done, repeat with the other piece. Alright, once you have these pieces all sanded, all ready to go, everything's ready, we're going to fit one side like this into the slot, tab into slot. Alright, just like that. And what we're looking for is for this edge, these edges here to line up and get it as round as possible. And that looks pretty good right like that. And you're going to take your fine tip marker and you're going to run a line. Right there. Pop this apart. Then we're going to take our foil tape, our scissors, and we're going to cut 3 strips about 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeter, just like that. This tape has a backing on it you have to peel off. And we're going to put these pieces right over that edge of that line. Just like that. And then the other 2 pieces on top. Now that we've got the tape here, now we need to do the other one. So go ahead and turn this around. This part goes on top here. This part over here with this tab goes underneath. So remember, they're mirror images, so they're opposites. Okay, we get that on there. That looks pretty good right there. Same thing, we're going to draw a line. And we're going to repeat with the tape here. Once we have the foil on these pieces, now you can kind of test fit it together and see how it looks. And that's basically like this. So that side, and then this side like this. And boom. And if you'll notice, this foil acts like a ledge, so these ends rest against it so they don't rotate. If you don't have that there with this tab, the way I've got it, it'll want to rotate and it won't hold its shape. Alright, there's one last thing to do to make this look really good, and that's to roll these edges right here. See how they stand up a little bit? This one ain't so bad as this one. But if we give this a little bit of roll here when it's together, it'll look more uniform. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Now, I've rolled this one already. You can see it's got a little bit of a roll here at the end. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this one. I just took something with a straight edge on it like this. You could use an ink pen, whatever. And just kind of curled this while gripping it with my fingers. Do that a few times. Look at it at each side. This stuff is really malleable. It doesn't take much effort. And boom, it's got a nice little curl to it. Now when we assemble this, we should have the look we want. And look at that. Those ends curled down look a lot better. Looks very uniform. And we will set it here on our lamp. And look at that. One thing I do want to point out about these shades is this natural, well, as natural as it can be for something manufactured, this surface here diffuses the light pretty evenly, and I like it. I tried a polished one. I polished that with my rotary tool. And I'm going to show you a little tabletop test here to show you the difference between them and the original. Now, I would do this test outside, but it is raining extremely heavy right now, so we're doing it inside. Now, what we have going on here is we have 3 different shades. This shade right here is the original. As you can see, that's kind of the reflection cone. Here is one that has been polished. And here is one that has not, that we made. And I kind of like this. This diffuses. There's no dark ring with this one. And this one, I don't know, this one looks kind of funky. So, original, MYOG polished, MYOG unpolished. One thing I just thought I'd share real quick. This is our MYOG shade that is unpolished. If you kind of tip that to the side, you have a little bit of a directional. Granted, there's a hole here in the back, so you're going to get some light leakage that way, but I thought that was pretty cool. And it works pretty well. Kind of like a little miner's lamp. Disassembly on these is really the opposite of putting it together. You just want to give it a little bend there to where this goes over that shelf of tape. Slide it off. And same thing there. And then you can go ahead and find a flat spot in your pack to pack this away. The only other success was with using very strong magnets, but it's a success with also a little bit of a failure, and that was this one. I have super glued on here these really high powered magnets, and it does work. Puts it together, boom, and it's got its shape, and it works very well. The problem with this is I found that even within 3 feet or a meter, so if this was in my backpack and I pull out my compass, these magnets are so strong that within a meter, they throw the needle of my compass off. That is unacceptable. I really don't need to be getting lost and end up as a 411 case. So I would say don't try this. Well, unless you're going to use it just at home. I wouldn't put something like this in your pack. Sorry, we have a cat here. Little Kira decided to make an appearance right at the end. Get her screen time. You got to see me make the shades, use the shades, and I showed you some variations on it between the polished and unpolished. One thing I do want to point out before I wrap this up is you can use this same methodology to make other shades for electric lamps and stuff like that. If you use this foil tape, if you use this foil tape, oh, you gotta look through it. If you use this foil tape, one thing you want to be aware of is its temperature range. It's good down to negative 20 degrees to 260 degrees Fahrenheit before it starts to fail. That's negative 29 to 127 degrees Celsius. So if you have a lamp that gets really hot, this probably won't work. All right? And that's all I got to say about that. I'm getting mauled by a cat. Everybody have a great night, and thank you for watching.